Woo! All right, so it's my pleasure to welcome you to Sankofa. If you didn't know, this is Black Children's Book Week. Can we get a round of applause for that? Yes, literature is so important. Representation, of course, is so important. And we're happy that we can have these authors here, as well as Miss Deborah Mortimer. Is that how you pronounce her last name? I'm sorry, last name. She is the founder of Leap Forward Publishing, and she's the brainchild behind this event. So not only is it a children's reading, but they're going to give you some insight into how they produce their books. So if that's something you're interested in, please come have a seat, listen. And also, if you have your children, you can bring them to the front so they can get in on all this goodness. I'm going to pass it to you. And thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Like Michaela was gracious enough to say, my name is Deborah C. Mortimer. I am the founder and owner of Leap Forward Publishing. It's kind of loud. And also the author of these 3 books that you see here today. Before I pass the mic and let the other authors introduce themselves, if you are an aspiring author and looking to get your work out there, I encourage you to get a flyer and find a little bit more information about Leap Forward Publishing and how we can help you produce a quality children's book that represents diverse voices, because that's what we're all about. And like I said, I'm the author of Summer Island, Zora and the Very Big Question, and When You Give a Girl a Puppy. And I'm so grateful for everyone being here today. I'm going to pass the mic to Jessica Childress.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you so much to everyone who came out on this very rainy day. I know how hard that can be, so thank you to come out to celebrate literature and Black Children's Book Week. My name is Jessica Childress, and I live here in Washington, D.C. I'm the author of the Juris P. Prudence collection about a little 11-year-old lawyer who takes on fun cases right here in the city. So I look forward to reading from one of the Juris P. Prudence books today and answering any questions that you have about the publishing process.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Derek Jacoby Washington. I am the author of Son You Matter, a book that was written in 2020 in response to the George Floyd killing. And then A Special Little Girl, which is my newest book, written for my niece who was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder at the age of 4. And so I'm excited about being here today. I'm also known as Uncle Colby. So I see some little ones there. Y'all can call me Uncle Colby. What's up, y'all? I'm super excited to read from both of these books today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think we're going to kick off the event with us reading a little bit from our books. I'm going to start by reading When You Give a Girl a Puppy, and I hope you all enjoy it. Okay, you want to hold it? Okay, fine. When You Give a Girl a Puppy. So this book was written as during the pandemic. Unfortunately, one of my dogs died, and I wanted to just kind of celebrate the joys of dog ownership and kind of educate children on how it's a symbiotic relationship where you give love to a pet and you get it in return, but also teach them about the responsibilities of pet ownership as well. So it's dedicated to my dog Ace, the best puppy a girl could have. When you give a girl a puppy, there's no question what she'll do. She will choose the cutest puppy, and of course, you'll choose her too. When you give a girl a puppy, they will be the best of friends. He will follow her around every corner, turn, and bend. Just think of all the lovely things that they can do together, like run and jump, have fun and play, no matter what the weather. The rainy days are best of all to jump and splash in puddles. Then once inside, all warm and dry, there's hot cocoa and cuddles. When you give a girl a puppy, she'll be brave and strong, it's true. With her puppy as her sidekick, there's no end to what she'll do. She can watch a scary movie with her puppy by her side. He'll protect her from the monsters and wherever they might hide. She can take him on adventures from her books and play pretend. They'll climb mountains, battle dragons, and have castles to defend. When you give a girl a puppy, she will never feel alone. He will wait for her all day and be so happy that she's home. And when she's sad, he'll be right there to give a little cheer. He'll wag his tail and snuggle close to gently lick her ear. She'll know what he is thinking, and she'll know his whimpers too, like when he wants to go outside and play with Dad's old shoe. When you give a girl a puppy, she'll care for him through and through. She'll make sure he's fed and play with him and walk him daily too. She'll even clean the mess up when he licks on all the windows and claim it wasn't puppy when he rips the sofa pillows. She'll be there to comfort him when he's frightened at the vet. She'll give him treats and hold him close so that he's not upset. She'll bathe him and she'll brush him so he looks his very best. She'll teach him tricks and show him off at every pet contest. When you give a girl a puppy, she will always feel complete, with her puppy by her side, wide awake or fast asleep. And from the moment they're together, there's no doubt that you will see they'll not only be the best of friends, he'll be her family. The end.
That is so cute.
It's only it's a 5-minute read. Okay, and so I have another book that I'm going to read. It's a short read. It's Summer Island. So I am first generation American of Caribbean parents, very proud of that. And every summer as a child, I would go to the Caribbean to visit my family, mostly my dad's family. And I wanted to write a book that celebrated Caribbean heritage and culture and started that conversation with children about the contributions that Caribbeans have made, Caribbean immigrants to this country have made, and just the whole thing about that culture. So here's a quick read of that. Summer Island. I don't name the country. There are clues as to what the country is, but I wanted it to be something that could be celebrated by anyone from the Caribbean, no matter where. So this is dedicated to my granny, Agnes Joseph, and to all my Caribbean family. Summer is here, and my parents have planned an adventure for me in a distant land. My bags are all packed, and the plan is all set to meet my dad's family I haven't met yet. So we travel to the place where my daddy is from. It's a land of sunshine and musical steel drum. A faraway island surrounded by sea. We take a plane there, just my daddy and me. Up in the air, like a bird we both fly, above all the clouds, high up in the sky. Soon out the window, I see a beautiful sight, filled with greens and blues and everything bright. When we get there, the wind blows a warm ocean breeze. The sky is so blue, and all the palm trees. We're greeted by uncles and aunties and cousins, so much family and hugs and kisses by dozens. The sing-songy way that they say, "How are you?" makes me smile because my daddy sounds just like they do. There's so many sights, sounds, and smells as we drive. Then at last at my grandmother's house we arrive. Her smile is so wide and her hair white as snow. Her hug is so warm and her face is aglow. The sweet lady called Granny sheds the tiniest tear. Her American granddaughter is finally here. Her house smells of sweets, spices, and curry. A feast is prepared. Everyone's in a flurry. On the veranda, there's laughing, singing, and dancing. Mosquitoes are biting and lizards are prancing. In the mornings, the birds wake me up with their twitter. And at night, I hear crickets and thickets and critters. My cousins teach me how to do what they do, like skip in the warm rain without sandals or shoes. The nighttime so dark that the stars shine so bright, we sing, laugh, and play and dance in the light. Granny tells stories from when she was young about sugarcane fields and the songs that were sung. Daddy shows me how he used to bravely climb trees. He'd pick coconuts, never fall or scrape knees. I bake in the sun, my toes covered in sand, walk the beach with Granny as she holds my hand. She tells me she loves me and how much she'll miss me when I leave this pretty island surrounded by sea. I'll miss my Granny too with her smile and white hair. I hug her so tightly as I shed a big tear. But there's always next summer, so maybe we'll see if we fly here again, just my daddy and me. The end. This is way too long for me to read. Way too long. So,
Thank you so much, Deborah. I was able to have the privilege of seeing these pictures up close and personal. And Deborah, your publishing company, for any aspiring author, they need to work with you because you can tell the high quality of the books and the stories just resonate so much. That sense of warmth just comes off of the page. So thank you. All right, perfect. Thank you. Well, again, my name is Jessica Childress, and I thank you so much for coming out today on this rainy day. I'd like to read a book, and I call these books My Baby Girl because Jurisprudence is a character that started in 2012. I started just drafting on a piece of paper. And so for the aspiring writers, just start drafting. It's not the finished product. The hardest part is just that first word. So My Baby Girl started in 2012, and I published this book in 2014. And it's about a little 11-year-old lawyer, and she dreams, and that really is the theme of all jurisprudence books. It's about dreaming. It's about thinking beyond what is possible, thinking beyond what people think you can achieve. And jurisprudence in this book, she is trying to get kids the right to vote. And I'll just give you some context. There is a mayor running for re-election in Washington, D.C., purely fictional. I wrote this book in 2014, so don't at me, please. 2014, wrote this book, had no idea what would happen in the world. But there's a mayor running for re-election, does not like kids. He's going to end recess. He is shutting down school lunch. He is shutting down homeless shelters. And jurisprudence, she is a lawyer. She's actually a real lawyer. She's taken the bar exam. I'm a lawyer. We just like to talk about law. Deborah's also a lawyer, so you feel me on this. Yeah. But she has passed the bar with her 11-year-old all-star, rock star lawyer friends, Sophie, Maddie, and Izzy. And she's fired up because she knows about this evil guy. His name is Sylvester Sly Sullivan. And he wants to do all of these bad things. And Juris says, I have to do something. I have to change this. So I'm going to start reading from chapter 1, and I'm not going to read the whole book, so there won't be any spoilers. But I'd like to tell you how Juris's story starts. Staring at my bright pink backpack, bearing my name at the top, made me wonder if my parents knew I would be a lawyer when they named me Jurisprudence. I often said my name out loud just to think about the way it sounded when the name first came out of my mom and dad's mouths. Jurisprovidence Prudence. People usually had two reactions to my name. First, a strange look upon hearing it, and then the immediate follow-up question, what does your name mean? My immediate response was always, it means the study of law. Green line to Branch Avenue, the conductor shouted, interrupting my thoughts. I was on the metro, kind of like a train, but it only goes through the Washington, D.C. area. I lived in Washington my whole life, so taking the metro was something I did often. My grandparents didn't drive, so we take the metro and the city bus everywhere. Actually, they take the metro everywhere. I preferred riding my bike around the city, but I was forced to take the metro if I couldn't ride my bike. We don't have a school bus in Washington, so I have to ride my bike or take the metro to get to school. I don't mind though. Getting to the National Kids Leaders Academy was always the most exciting part of my day. It was an adventure that was never the same. Whether I was watching the passengers on the train or seeing the sights of Washington on my bike, each trip to school was an adventure. This was our first day back to school after fall break, but it didn't feel like fall at all. It had been snowing in the city for the past week, and the snow was up to our knees. Over the break, instead of raking leaves, we were building snowmen and sledding down hills. Snow was piled high on the ground, so I had to wait until it melted to ride my bike again. When I was on the metro, I always tried to guess who the different passengers were, where they were going, what they did, and whether any of them worked with the president. I always stood out from the other passengers on the metro train. They were all in suits and dresses, and I was usually wearing my uniform. dark blue jeans, and a Kids Leaders Academy sweatshirt. On cold days like today, I would put on my KLA baseball cap to cover my long black hair, which I usually wore in a ponytail. Gallery Place to Chinatown. This was my stop, and I had to get off and transfer to the next train. My school was in Georgetown, and that was quite a hike from where I lived in the neighborhood known as Petworth in Washington, D.C. I had about 25 more minutes on the train, and I would finally be in school. A lot of my friends asked me how I managed not to get bored on the long metro ride. Between dreaming up stories about the people I saw on the metro and reading the free newspapers that were given out every morning before I got on the metro, there was no way I could be bored on my metro rides. Sometimes I wished I could stay on the train and daydream forever. Recently, the bad weather had caused me to ride the metro more often. During the past few weeks, my rides have been different than usual. Most mornings, passengers sat quietly and didn't speak to each other on the metro. But today, it sounded like a circus. It was the beginning of October, and everyone in the city was waiting on one big event. And it wasn't Halloween. It was the election of the next mayor of the city. Everywhere you looked, you saw gigantic red, white, and blue signs that read, "Vote for Sly," or "Good Little for Mayor." The election was the first week of November, and it had become the talk of the town. This morning, I was reading a story about the two men running in this election, Sylvester Sullivan and Marty Goodlittle. Have you read what Slimy Sly is trying to do? Take away all healthy school lunches? Is he crazy? Kids don't need healthy lunches provided by schools. Their parents can send them to school with lunch. I don't care if it's healthy or not. I don't want my tax dollars going towards school lunches. Sylvester Sullivan has been a wonderful mayor for the past 10 years. This city needs him. The new guy, Goodlittle, has one tough hill to climb if he thinks he'll win this election. I've heard some pretty awful things about Sly. Rumor has it he has a criminal past. This passenger's comment made the hair on my arm stand up straight. I didn't understand what all the chatter was about, and then I looked down at the newspaper that I had grabbed this morning. Now I understood. As I read the headline, I could feel my face heating up. I couldn't believe my eyes. Sly vows to take away healthy school lunches. Change will hurt needy children in the city, the newspaper headline read. Foggy Bottom, last stop in the District of Columbia. That was the cue. That was my cue that I had arrived at my stop. I didn't have time to be angry or nervous about the comment regarding Sly's criminal past. It was 7:45 a.m. and I had to be at school in 15 minutes. I had no idea how I was going to make it in school in 15 minutes with a foot of snow on the ground, but I had no choice if I didn't want to get a week-long detention for being late to class. With my newspaper in hand, I sprinted to the Kids Leaders Academy. And I'll stop right there, but Juris is fired up.
That is, well, first of all, that's like excellent writing. I love that. I absolutely, now I want to know what happens next. But so a little background, I knew of Jessica's books before I met Jessica. I thought it was, when I first encountered it, as an attorney, I thought it was brilliant. The name alone was just brilliant. And I have a 13-year-old niece, and I encouraged her to read it because I thought the fact that she's a little girl and she's first of all, that she's a lawyer at 11, I think is wonderful. And that she's fighting for rights for children. I thought it was a great message for other kids. And I'm so happy to have met you in person because I've been following you for a while. So yeah, I love her books. I think that everyone should read them. And yeah, I love it.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. It's what we have. Dark Jacoby.
All right. So as I mentioned, I wrote my first book in 2020 in the wake of the George Floyd killing. I, like so many other people, during that moment, sat down and tried to reconcile my thoughts and emotions behind the ordeal. Prior to that, my sister had my nephew, KJ, who was just about 6 months, I think, when the incident occurred. And I began to think about what would life look like for him in the next 15, 20 years or so. Will he live in a society where he is consistently judged based on the color of his skin? Or will he live in a world that embraces him for all of the greatness that he's going to bring to the earth? And so I wrote this book as a response to that. So this is Son, You Matter. And so my dedication is to my nephew KJ. May you grow up in a world that embraces your uniqueness and loves you without condition. To all of my Black and brown boys, the parents and caretakers that are raising them, you matter. I love my dad. He's smart, tall, and strong, always smiling. He can do no wrong. Each day he wakes me with my favorite song and says, son, you matter. I know, Dad, I say as I ease out of bed, run down the hall, slow down, sleepyhead. I brush my teeth and wash my face. Hurry up, son, we don't want to be late. I rush downstairs to grab my food, give mommy a kiss, then we're off to school. Have a good day, mommy screams. I will, because after school, Dad's taking me for ice cream. Dad walks me to school with my bag in his hand. Remember, Ahmad, be a good young man. Be your best, do your best, and don't get caught in the chatter. But most of all, son, remember, you matter. I know, Dad, I say as I rush to class, hurry on through the day. I just want time to pass, because I'm getting ice cream and I can't wait. Chocolate chip cookie dough, this is gonna be great. The bell finally rings and I rush to the car where my dad awaits. What's up, superstar? How was your day and what did you learn? I passed my test and got an A in return. That's great, son, as we drive down the street. Lights flashed and sirens blast and I turn in my seat. Pull over that car, the officer yells. Dad pulls to the side and puts his hands on the wheel. Ahmad, face forward and you keep still. Stay calm and sit back. It's okay, just chill. What seems to be the problem, officer? What did I do? Step out of the vehicle and I'll deal with you. Dad opens the door and the officer grabs his gun. Hey man, calm down. Don't do this in front of my son. Put your hands in the air so that I can see them, or I'll shoot you right now. I don't even need a reason. Leave my daddy alone, I yell out in fright. Ahmad, be quiet, son. It's gonna be all right. Whose vehicle is this? Who does it belong to? Here's my registration, officer. Look, I can show you. Well, why didn't you say so? I guess it's all right. You two be on your way and have a good night. Dad gets in the car and we drive in silence. No music, no talking. Everything is just quiet. We arrive at the parlor. Dad orders our ice cream. Then we sit in silence. This all feels like a dream. Dad hangs his head and lets out a sigh. He sniffles a bit and begins to cry. Ahmad, no matter how they treat you, no matter what they do, remember, you're a young Black king. They can't take that from you. Stay calm and listen and do as you're told. I want you to live, son. You don't have to be bold. As soon as he said it, he began to weep. His anger, his sadness, his pain was so deep. I sat in amazement and watched my dad, so strong and so brave, yet now his spirit was so sad. I knew what he meant and why he must have felt shattered. So I grabbed his hand, looked him in the eye, and said, Dad, you matter. So as I mentioned, I wrote this book in 2020 in response to the George Floyd killing, really as a way to empower our young men. And during that time, we had a president that was calling Black and brown children thugs. And so I wanted to further affirm and really take back the narrative that much of the media was trying to portray of our young Black and brown boys specifically. My second book, A Special Little Girl, was written for my niece who, as I mentioned, at the age of 4 was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. It's a developmental difference of the brain. And she's 12 now. And on a recent trip home, I'm from Florida. I attended a gymnastics class with her, where at the end of that class, I observed the instructor award every student with an award except my niece. Now, she may have needed some additional support, but she was still able to complete every task, every challenge asked of her. But what made matters worse was that when we got home, my niece was not incredibly able to articulate her emotions. Oftentimes, she communicates through like cartoons or videos. She began to replay a cartoon that talked about how bad it feels to be left out. And so it broke my heart, so much so that I ended up staying up the majority of that evening, really researching organizations that focus on supporting children with autism, but more specifically, children of color, and found that there weren't many organizations that existed like that. I actually only found one organization based out of Detroit. But more than just the research, I really wanted to write an affirmation, or an ode, if you will, to my niece and all little kids that learn a little differently, to let them know that they are valued, loved, and that they are indeed special people. And so this is a special little girl. So my dedication, it says, written for my Zaza Poo, which is what I call my niece. Her name is Zion. And every child that's on the spectrum or might feel a little different, remember you are loved, valued, and adored immensely. You are enough and you matter. Uncle Kobe. Says, my daddy says I'm special and as smart as I can be. I can read, I can write, I can say my ABCs. My mommy says I'm beautiful, such a pretty little girl. She says I'm her favorite princess in the whole wide world. My Nana says I bring her joy. I fill her heart with glee. She says she's never met a child just as caring as can be. My uncle calls me Zaza Poo and says, you make me proud. You are strong, you are brave, keep on living life out loud. And though sometimes I'm sad because others leave me out, they don't understand my speaking. They can't figure out why I doubt. You see, I'm just a little different. I don't learn like others do. I need a little patience and lots of love from you. And in those times when I am down, the best thing that you can do to help me turn my frown around is sing a song or two. Or maybe just remind me that being different isn't bad. Especially with a family like mine who thinks I'm pretty rad. You see, my mommy says I'm beautiful, and that means the world to me. My daddy says I'm special and just as smart as I can be. I bring my Nana joy, and I fill her heart with glee. My uncle says I'm strong and brave, and that he's proud of me. So while I may be different, my family loves and adores me. I'll forever be their favorite girl, just as special as can be. So that's a special thing.
So this week, when I was putting together this this day, I was picking who I wanted to be on the stage with, and I really feel like I picked correctly because you both are really exceptional, not just writers, but just the books and the topic that you're talking about are just so well needed for children to learn, and I'm really proud to be on the stage with the two of you because oh my gosh, yes, I'm very excited. So again, our books are available for purchase. They're asking that you get them from us, and then you can take us back to purchase them, and then we can, of course, sign them for you. But also, we're going to be talking a little bit about the importance of representation in children's literature. And I have a really good friend of mine, Kimberly Shackelford, who's here, and she's going to be moderating a discussion soon. in about 10 minutes. So if you want to come up and ask us any questions or purchase a book for until then, you're welcome to do so. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Absolutely,
They're
absolutely.
just they're asking that you purchase it first. Okay. You can purchase. You have to purchase it from here. Yeah, you gotta because we have all the books. Oh, no, give me the sign. Oh.
So you have to go buy them.
Yeah, that's what they get told us. So
Thank you so much. Oh, this is a picture book. A stage of life, like the pictures. Okay, well, thank you so much, LS.
And I'll take both of you.
Oh, thank you.
So what we're gonna do is like a train.
Which way?
Like, you're good, you already bought your drink.
So which way should I go?
Are you grab it?
I need a book.
Yeah, you just grab it and go around.
Thank you.
Yep, exactly.